Let's be honest. You've been too gentle with your life. You've forgiven people who didn't deserve it. You've stayed quiet when you should have spoken. You hesitated when you knew damn well the moment was yours. And every time you held back, someone else colder, faster, less emotional walked away with what should have been yours. You've been trained to avoid conflict, to play nice, to wait for opportunities instead of tearing them open with your own hands. And you wonder why you feel stuck. You wonder why life keeps slipping through your fingers. Here's the truth you've avoided. Life only respects those who fight for their place in it. Not physically, but mentally. Violently. The violence of saying no more. The violence of acting the moment you feel fear. The violence of refusing to let laziness, weakness, and doubt keep humiliating you. Think of the moments you regret the most. They all have the same cause. You didn't move when you should have. You weren't ruthless with yourself. You weren't willing to claim what was already within reach. Today that changes because the moment you learn to win violently, your life stops running you and you start conquering it. If you do not attack life, life will attack you. The first law of conquest is not about overpowering others. It's about overpowering the version of yourself that keeps losing. Because let's be honest, most of the damage done to your life was done silently by you. In moments when you chose hesitation over action, Machiavelli understood something most people never realize. The world does not wait for the undecided. It moves around you, over you, and without you the moment you slow down. You felt this every time you overthought instead of acting. Every time you let an opportunity pass, pretending it wasn't meant for you. Every time you convinced yourself to wait, even though you knew you were ready, that is the enemy you must conquer first. The gentle voice inside you telling you to be careful when you should be aggressive. The first law is simple, brutal, and profoundly personal. Strike first or lose by default. When you act first, you control the narrative. You control the pace, the tone, the direction. You force the world to respond to you instead of the other way around. Every battle in life, career, relationships, status, purpose goes to the one who moves before doubt takes root. Most people fail because they think too slowly for the world they live in. They wait for certainty. They wait for signs. They wait for permission. What they don't see is this. Every moment spent waiting is a moment your enemy, fear, insecurity, competition, gets stronger. Hesitation is not neutral. It is self-destruction done politely. Think back to the moments that shaped you. The doors you didn't walk through, the words you swallowed, the opportunities you let someone else take. Not because they were better, but because they were faster. They were willing to look stupid, risk judgment, push forward without guarantees. That tiny difference, milliseconds of courage, reshaped your entire trajectory. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers never to let events control them. A leader who responds late loses. A man who decides late becomes irrelevant. And here is the part most people are too afraid to face. You don't need more time. You need more force. Your problem was never lack of capability. It was lack of immediacy. The modern world rewards the person who takes a step before anyone else starts thinking about taking one. Speed is power. Initiation is power. Momentum is power. When you act first, you gain a psychological advantage. People follow what is already moving. People trust what looks decisive. People surrender to what appears inevitable. This is why the first law of conquest demands a type of internal violence. The willingness to kill the version of you that hesitates. That version of you has cost you enough. It cost you years of progress. It cost you relationships. It cost you opportunities. It cost you self-respect, and every time it slowed you down, life punished you for it. The world does not tolerate softness in the moments that require aggression. You can be kind, but you cannot be slow. You can be thoughtful, but you cannot be passive. You can be careful, but you cannot be paralyzed. Understand this. Winning is almost never about being the strongest. It is about being the one who moves when everyone else is still questioning themselves. When you strike first, you define the battlefield. You decide the stakes. You create momentum that others struggle to match. This is the beginning of your transformation. Your new identity is built on movement, not contemplation. On decisions, not doubts. On action, not apologies. From now on, your life changes the moment you do. Not next week, not later, not when you feel ready. Because here is the final truth of the first law of conquest. If you don't act now, you never will. The world belongs to the one who moves first, and you are becoming that man. Most men lose because they live in balance. Balanced emotions, balanced decisions, balanced ambitions, balanced reactions. They move just enough to feel productive, but never enough to create shock waves. They try to improve without disrupting anything. They want progress without chaos, success without sacrifice, and power without pressure. But balance is where average men die. Machiavelli understood that the world is shaped by imbalance by the individual who is willing to tip the scales in his own favor. You cannot conquer a life you are trying to keep peaceful. The second law of conquest is merciless. Create imbalance intentionally. Force motion, force change, force consequences. Because a man who refuses to disturb his life will never transform it. Look closely at your past. Every major shift, good or bad, happened after the balance of your life broke. You were forced out of comfort. You were pushed into action. You moved because staying still became unbearable. Nothing grows in neutrality. Nothing expands in comfort. Nothing evolves without disruption. When your life feels too balanced, too predictable, too steady, it means one thing. You've stopped climbing. And once you stop climbing, the world buries you under those who didn't. The brutal truth is this. Most people don't dislike their life. They dislike the consequences of changing it. They fear breaking routines. They fear disappointing people. They fear losing stability. So, they stay balanced and slowly rot inside their own hesitation. But here's what you need to understand. You cannot build a new life on top of an old one. You must break it ruthlessly. This is the violence Machiavelli spoke of. Not physical chaos, but strategic disruption. The refusal to remain in situations that suffocate your potential. The second law forces you to ask, what in my life must be broken for me to rise? Maybe it's your comfort. Maybe it's your routine. Maybe it's your emotional attachments. Maybe it's your passivity. Maybe it's your loyalty to the wrong people. Everything you are clinging to might be the exact weight dragging you down. Most men drown not in storms but in shallow waters. The routines they never question. The habits they never challenge. The boundaries they never enforce. You conquer your life the moment you stop trying to preserve it. Think of the predators of nature. They do not survive by maintaining balance with their environment. They survive by disrupting it. They move first. They break patterns. They strike with intention. Their existence is built on controlled imbalance. A predator that waits starves. A man who stays balanced becomes prey. The second law teaches you to become the aggressor in your own life. You don't wait for conditions to shift. You shift them. You don't wait for opportunities. You manufacture them. You don't wait for permission. You take what aligns with your purpose. This is where winners separate from the masses. Most men want improvement, but very few want disruption. Yet disruption is the doorway to power. The moment you shake the foundation of your life, one thing becomes clear. Who you really are. When you disturb your comfort zone, you see your hunger. When you cut off the wrong people, you see your clarity. When you break habits, you see your discipline. When you stop negotiating with weakness, you see your strength. Your identity is not revealed in balance. It is revealed in disturbance. This is why the second law is so difficult. Because it demands that you willingly walk into discomfort, into uncertainty, into the unknown. Not because you enjoy chaos, but because you know transformation lives there. You are not meant to live a quiet, balanced life. You are meant to live a life that reflects your potential. Uneven, aggressive, forward-moving, break the balance, create tension, expose your limits, force evolution. Because the man who refuses to disturb his life will forever be ruled by those who disturb theirs. The world does not reward balance. It rewards escalation. To conquer, you must be willing to break what no longer deserves to stand. The third law of conquest is not about physical dominance. It is about psychological climate control. In every space you enter, social, professional, intimate, there is a temperature, a tension, an emotional current. Someone is setting it. If it's not you, then you are already losing. Because the individual who sets the emotional climate, calm or chaotic, warm or cold, uncertain or confident, controls everyone inside it. Machiavelli knew this. People don't respond to truth. They respond to atmosphere. They follow the one who dictates the tone. Most men walk into a room and adapt instantly. They mirror the energy. They blend in. They shrink to avoid discomfort. They wait to be accepted before they speak up. But winners do not adapt to environments. They alter them. This is the third law. Whoever controls the emotional temperature of the room controls the people in it. You've seen this before without realizing it. There's always someone whose presence forces everyone else to adjust. Someone who enters a room and the air changes. Conversations shift. Postures straighten. Eyes follow. It's not charisma. It's control. These men carry an internal climate so powerful that the external world bends around it. Their calm becomes the room's calm. Their silence becomes the room's silence. Their intensity raises the room's intensity. This is power that requires no words. And here's the truth you've never been told. You can become this man, but only if you master emotional temperature first inside yourself, then in others. 1. Control yourself or you control nothing. Weak men let environments change them. Strong men change environments. But dangerous men, rare men, remain unmoved by external chaos. People feel safe around those who don't move emotionally. People follow those who look unshaken. People obey the one who seems to know what comes next. When you stay calm while others panic, they subconsciously defer to you. When you remain cold while others overreact, they look to you for direction. Your emotional stillness becomes a form of authority. Machiavelli wrote that fear is more reliable than love, but calmness is more influential than both, because fear controls behavior but calmness controls the environment that shapes behavior. 2. Set the tone before anyone else can. If you enter with uncertainty, the room becomes uncertain. If you enter with tension, the room becomes tense. If you enter with a presence that is silent but unignorable, the room reorganizes itself around you. This is why predators walk slowly. Why leaders speak last. Why powerful men move deliberately. Their slowness sets the tempo. Their silence creates gravity. Their pace becomes the room's pace. When you control pace, you control perception. And when you control perception, you control outcomes. 3. Never let another man be the emotional anchor. In every group, someone becomes the stabilizing force. Someone becomes the reference point. Someone becomes the psychological center. If it is not you, you are orbiting someone else's influence. And a man who spends his life orbiting others will never conquer anything. Not a goal, not a room, not even himself. You become the anchor through 3 Machiavellian traits. Unreactive presence, measured responses, controlled emotional display. The less you show, the more others reveal. The more predictable you are, the more unpredictable they feel. The calmer you are, the more chaotic they become. People expose themselves to a man who seems unreadable. They adjust themselves to a man who seems immovable. 4. Command without speaking. The third law is about influence through tension, not conversation. A man who needs to talk to gain control is already weak. A man who can influence a room with silence is operating on a higher plane. Your posture, your pacing, your stillness, your eye contact, your breathing. These are strategic weapons. Most men leave them unused. But when you apply them deliberately, you become the reference point of the entire environment. You become the gravity 5. Make your presence expensive. This is the advanced tier of the third law. People value what is scarce. People respect what is composed. People chase what they can't read. When you walk into a room as if nothing inside it can shake you, you become the rarest man present. People feel your silence. They adjust to your energy. They calibrate themselves around your state. And that right there is power. Not the loud kind, not the aggressive kind, but the sovereign kind. A man who masters emotional climate becomes a king without a crown. Because control does not begin with domination. It begins with atmosphere. A man who refuses to confront his weaknesses becomes dominated by them. Most men obsess over building strength, but they never examine the silent enemies growing inside their daily life. The weaknesses that drain them slowly, invisibly, and consistently. Machiavelli understood that the downfall of rulers rarely came from outside forces. It came from internal decay, habits, emotions, behaviors, and people that were never confronted, never cut off, never starved. The fourth law of conquest is brutal in its simplicity. Starve everything that weakens you. Feed only what sharpens you. Weakness thrives on repetition. Every time you indulge it, it grows. Every time you excuse it, it strengthens. Every time you tolerate it, it tightens its grip around your life. You cannot conquer your world while surrendering to your vices. 1. Weakness begins as comfort. Comfort is the most dangerous addiction. It disguises itself as rest, reward, healing, self-care, or taking it easy. But most comfort is rot wrapped in softness. Comfort tells you, do it tomorrow. You've done enough. Don't push too hard. Rest a bit more. But here's the truth. Comfort does not give you peace. It steals your edge. Comfort quietly replaces hunger with laziness, purpose with distraction, and discipline with excuses. Machiavelli warned that soft environments create soft rulers. The same applies to you. You must starve the comfort that is killing your ambition. 2. Weakness grows through emotional leaks. Your moods, impulses, overreactions, fears. These tiny leaks drain your strength before you even realize it. Every time you get offended easily, you lose power. Every time you chase validation, you lose power. Every time you panic over uncertainty, you lose power. Every time you let someone shake your emotional stability, they quietly drain you. Weakness doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like caring too much. Sometimes it looks like being too available. Sometimes it looks like reacting too quickly. The strongest men are not the ones who feel nothing. They are the ones who starve everything that weakens their clarity. Your emotional world must serve your mission, not sabotage it. 3. Weakness multiplies through the wrong people. Here is a truth that makes most men uncomfortable. Your environment is feeding you or feeding on you. Some people drain your time. Some drain your focus. Some drain your confidence. Some drain your discipline. Some drain your hunger. You know exactly who those people are. The ones who slow you down. The ones who drown you in their chaos. The ones who keep you mediocre. The ones who reward your weakest habits. If someone brings out the version of you that loses, they must no longer have access to you. Not because you hate them, but because your future cannot afford them, for weakness survives through almost disciplined, almost consistent, almost focused, almost improving, almost committed. Almost is the language of average men. It gives you the illusion of progress while keeping you exactly where you've always been. Every time you come close to action, close to change, close to discipline, but fail to follow through, you feed the part of you that doesn't want to evolve. You must starve almost and feed absolutely. Violent commitment is what separates winners from dreamers. 5. Weakness disappears when consequences rise. Weakness survives when the cost of failure is low. It dies when the cost becomes painful. When you raise the standard of what you accept from yourself, weakness can no longer survive inside you. You stop tolerating unfinished plans. You stop tolerating procrastination. You stop tolerating your own excuses. You stop tolerating the habits that embarrass your potential. You create consequences so sharp that your weaker self cannot coexist with them. This is the part most men never do because it requires a level of internal violence that feels uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is the doorway to transformation. 6. Starving weakness creates hunger. Hunger creates victory. When you deny yourself weakness, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes sharper. Your ambition increases. Your discipline becomes automatic. Your presence grows heavier. Your decisions become cleaner. You stop being controlled by impulses. You stop being manipulated by emotions. You stop being slowed by distractions. You stop being defeated by fears. You become the version of yourself that wins because power is not built through addition. It is built through subtraction. Removing the softness, removing the excuses, removing the poison. Starve what makes you weak. Feed what makes you unstoppable. A man who masters this law does not need luck. He does not need motivation. He does not need validation. He becomes a force that moves through life with violent clarity, cutting off anything that threatens his rise. Power is not measured by how many people follow you, but by how terrified they are to lose access to you. Most men chase attention. They chase approval. They chase validation, affection, respect, opportunities. But in the game of power, the one who chases is already beneath the one who is being chased. The fifth law of conquest is the pivot point that separates kings from commoners. Stop being the man who wants to be chosen. Become the man they fear losing. Fear is a stronger motivator than desire. People desire many things, but they fear losing only a few. If you become one of those few, you shift from being optional to being indispensable. You move from the periphery of people's priorities to the center of their decisions. This is not manipulation. This is presence warfare. It means building your value so ruthlessly that the world recognizes the cost of losing you one. Create scarcity, not availability. People do not fear losing what is always accessible. What is abundant is ignored. What is common is undervalued. If you respond instantly, you are not valuable. If you are always reachable, you are not respected. If you say yes easily, you are not taken seriously. Scarcity is the foundation of psychological power. Your time must feel expensive. Your presence must feel deliberate. Your attention must feel earned. When people sense scarcity, they pursue you. When they sense abundance, they drain you. 2. Build competence so sharp it intimidates. People fear losing those they cannot replace. If you master your craft, if you become hyper-competent, if you consistently deliver more clarity, reliability, insight, discipline, or results than anyone else, you stop being someone they like. You become someone they need. Competence is the purest form of leverage. It makes people think twice before disrespecting you, betraying you, or neglecting you. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler is feared not because he punishes but because losing him would plunge the kingdom into chaos. Your life works the same way. Become irreplaceable. 3. Never reveal how much you care. The moment people know how deeply you want them, their fear vanishes. Humans are wired to exploit certainty. If someone knows you'll stay no matter what, they stop worrying about losing you. Your silence must be louder than your affection. Your distance must be sharper than your closeness. Not cruelty, not games, just emotional sovereignty. You must care, but privately, quietly, strategically. The less you reveal, the more they fear losing what they cannot fully understand. 4. Let your absence punish more than your presence rewards. The most powerful men can do something weak men cannot. Walk away. Your presence should elevate people. Give them clarity, peace, guidance, strength. But your absence should hurt more than your presence helps. Not because you inflict pain, but because what you brought to the room cannot be found elsewhere. When someone loses access to you, their life should feel colder, heavier, more chaotic. That's the kind of man who is never taken for granted. 5. Stay on a trajectory others must rise to match. People fear losing those who are growing faster than them. Your ambition, your evolution, your forward movement creates a silent pressure. If I don't rise, I'll be left behind. That pressure makes people respect you. It makes them treat you carefully. It makes them give more than they take. You must become a moving target. Someone whose life levels up so consistently that people become afraid of falling out of your orbit. The man who stays still is replaceable. The man who elevates relentlessly is not. 6. Enforce boundaries with brutal consistency. People only fear losing what has consequences. If someone disrespects you and nothing changes, they learn that you are safe to mistreat. If someone crosses your boundaries and you stay, they learn that your standards are negotiable. If someone gives you less than you deserve and you still give back, they learn that you cannot walk away. Boundaries are the teeth of your value. They tell people access to me is earned, not assumed. 7. Become the man whose presence transforms the entire environment. People fear losing those who elevate them simply by existing. Your discipline inspires. Your calm stabilizes. Your ambition awakens. Your silence sharpens. Your focus motivates. Your intelligence clarifies. You become the gravitational force in their life. The anchor, the mirror, the standard, the threat, the reminder, the storm, and the calm after it. When your presence creates change, your absence creates fear. This is the pinnacle of the fifth law. A man who depends on motivation rises occasionally. A man who builds inevitability rises permanently. The final law is the law that ends all struggle. Do not hope to win. Construct yourself so thoroughly that winning becomes your default state. This is the point in your journey where you stop playing life like a gambler and start playing it like the architect of your own destiny. The greatest men in history were not lucky. They were not talented beyond measure. They were not gifted with special circumstances. They were inevitable. They built systems, identities, and routines so mercilessly aligned with victory that losing became mathematically impossible. And that is the final transformation you must undergo. 1. Identity over motivation. Motivation is emotional. Identity is structural. Weak men wait to feel like doing it. Strong men act whether they feel like it or not. But dangerous men, rare men, act automatically because the actions are fused into who they are. You don't motivate a wolf to hunt. You don't motivate a king to rule. You don't motivate a conqueror to conquer. He does it because he is it. Your habits must become identity. Your discipline must become reflex. Your hunger must be the air you breathe. When you rewire who you are, you remove the possibility of failure. 2. Build systems that remove weakness from the equation. You cannot rely on your feelings. You cannot rely on your mood. You cannot rely on fleeting bursts of energy. Systems save you from your weaker self. Systems create inevitability because they decide the action before the moment arrives. A man with systems doesn't hope to improve. He improves by default. A man with systems doesn't hope to stay disciplined. Discipline is embedded in his day. A man with systems doesn't hope to rise. He rises because the structure makes it impossible not to. Life becomes simple. Follow the system and victory is guaranteed. 3. Destroy the option of retreat. Inevitable men do not keep doors open. Only the undecided keep safety nets. You must reach a point where going back is not only impossible but unimaginable. Burn the mental ships. Cut off the excuses. Eliminate the backups. Remove the escape plans. When retreat is no longer an option, the only direction left is forward. That is where inevitability is forged. 4. Surround yourself with pressure, not comfort. Weak environments create weak identities. Strong environments forge inevitability. Be around those who sharpen you. Those who demand more from themselves. Those who walk with ambition bleeding from their posture. Those who would be ashamed to live the way average men live. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the sculptor that carves your potential into form. When your environment demands greatness, greatness becomes inevitable. 5. Replace hope with domination. Hope is passive. Domination is deliberate. Hope says, I wish things get better. Domination says, I will force them to. Hope waits. Domination acts. Hope prays. Domination builds. Hope leaves room for failure. Domination suffocates it. Your rise becomes inevitable the moment you stop hoping and start imposing your will on your life with brutal consistency. 6. Decide that the old you is dead. This is the final cut. The final act of internal violence. You will never rise while carrying the corpse of who you used to be. The old fears, the old habits, the old mindset, the old softness, the old comfort, the old identity. Kill it. Kill it completely. Kill it proudly. Every conquest begins with a funeral. The funeral of the weaker you. Once he dies, your rise becomes unstoppable. And now your journey continues beyond this video. If you've made it to this point, it means you are not like the others. You are not watching this for entertainment. You are watching because something in you is stirring. Something ruthless, ambitious, inevitable. And if you want more of this, more darkness, more clarity, more Machiavellian truth that cuts deeper than anything you've heard, then don't just watch. Join the Brotherhood. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you never miss the next strategy. Not because I need it, but because you do. Because the moment you commit to this path, the moment you surround yourself with this mindset, the moment you continue learning these laws, your rise becomes inevitable. And nothing, not fear, not doubt, not weakness will be able to stop you.